Kia ora and welcome to Wahine, a podcast celebrating wahine in business who are carving their own path with intention, courage and vision. This is Wahine Legacy Leadership. Tēnā koe, Wyndi, nau mai haramai ki te hōtaka o wahine. Tēnō hariko takunga kau ki te nohotahi tāua I tēnei wā, ki te kōrero mō tō haerenga Pākahi, me te mana wahine, e kite ana I roto I tō oranga me tō mahi. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and I'm super grateful to be sharing the space with you and sharing your journey in business with other wahine on their own journey. Because wahine, well, the reason I started wahine is that we can share our stories with one another, which isn't necessarily talked about in other spaces. So we get a little bit personal, we get what's going on behind the scenes, where your feelings and thoughts and emotions and where they bubbled up and burnt out, or are they inspired to take that next step. So I know with your journey, we're going to talk about a lot. So to get us started, I would like to hand over to you to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Well, ngā mihi nui kia koe, Sandra. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's so good to be here. And I love sharing stories from a wahine Māori perspective for other wahine Māori and actually just anybody in business. So this is awesome. So ko waio, I te taho tōku māma, ko te ati haunui a paparangi tōku iwi, ko Ngāti hau tōku hapu, ko hiru harama tōku marae, I te taho tōku pāpa, nō Greece me ingarangi a hau, ko Wyndi Tagi tōku ingoa. So yeah, hail from the Taranaki, from the Wanganui River. I was born in Waverley, but my parents moved to Tamaki before I turned 1. So yeah, I'm a bit of an Aucklander really. Love to go back home down to the Wanganui River, down to Jerusalem when I can. Yeah, kia ora.
Nice. How often are you back in Aotea in Wanganui?
At least yearly, often 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, it kind of depends. I've still got whānau down there. My koko's homestead is still down there, so I'd like to go back and visit and reconnect, go up to the river and jump in the water and just be at one. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. Love it down there.
Nice. Alrighty, let's talk business. Let's start by maybe introducing your journey, as in where did you start and how did you start, and then we'll take a journey through to what you do now and who you serve and what you do currently. But let's go back to that beginning story and what inspired you to start that first business.
Yeah, so growing up, my dad was an entrepreneur. So he had a suspended ceiling business, and it was a family one. So it was him and his cousins that were doing that mahi. And what it really afforded me was he was able to come to some of my school things, follow me around the country. I was a cyclist during high school. So, follow me around and do lots of things. And I guess I was kind of lucky that I'd, get the new bikes and new wheels for my bike, because basically he was my sponsor. So, I think just seeing that made me really think I wanted to go into business too. But I didn't really feel like I had a skill set that I could sell. So once I'd met my husband and he was on his chartered accounting journey. Once he became a chartered accountant, I thought this is a really good opportunity for us to start our own chartered accounting business. And he was not very interested in doing that. In fact, he was quite happy to just do what every other accountant does, and that's just wait for, a partner to leave or pass away to be able to go into partnership. And so I really tried to convince him. And it's one of the reasons that I was very keen on going into entrepreneurship is I just wanted to spend more time with my children. And I was a little over being in the corporate space and having to ask for permission to take leave, to watch my kids do cultural things or sporting things, and just really be part of their lives. So when this opportunity came, I thought, awesome, let's do this, and then I can just go and do what I want to do whenever I wanted to do it. It was a little naive of me because, let's be fair, when you're starting out a business, it's not always like that. But yeah, that's really the reason that we started. And we just thought we'll just be an accounting firm for everybody to start with. We just needed to pay the bills. I was still working at the bank at the time. So we were quite lucky in that my income was paying bills and we had the sort of the flexibility and the time to make the accounting firm work. But a couple of months after deciding that we were going to start the business, we fell pregnant with our 5th child. And soon I was not going to be earning the money that I was earning. We needed to make sure that the business was going to be able to pay our mortgage and, feed the kids. So it was a bit of a journey. I just went in to help out in the business while I was on maternity leave. And then at the end of the year, my husband said, you can't leave, you've got to stay. So I ended up staying in the business and becoming a very big part of the business, really, even though I'm not an accountant. Yeah, that's how we sort of started.
Nice. That's a beautiful whānau-orientated story, although not too dissimilar to other wahine, that I've talked to around they start their business because whānau. So tell me a little bit about what business looks like now. And was it the accounting business that you sold?
Children are such a big... Sorry, I think I'm lagging.
Okay.
Yes, it was the accounting business that we sold. We sold that at the end of the financial year last year. So April last year, we sold in 2025. We sold the accounting firm after 14 years of running that. It was kind of, I guess, for me, the end of an era. It wasn't really what we thought that we would do initially. Like when we started out in the business, we sort of wanted to create a family legacy. We thought maybe our children would take over it one day. At that stage, they were only little, in primary school. So we thought, one day they might want this accounting firm. But we just got to a point, I got to a point where I was starting to burn out and I wasn't as excited about going and, to work every morning. And that's a really big thing for me. Like I really preach about being authentic. I talk about living fully. And part of that is, waking up, being excited about what you do every day. Because I believe that if you love what you do, you don't feel like you work a day in your life. And that really was how the most of the 14 years was for us. We're so purposeful, so impactful, loved working with my team. And while I still believed in the impact we could make and I still loved my team, I was really feeling like I needed a break. And I also felt like after that break, there was something else out there for me that was even bigger than what I'd been doing. And I wanted the chance to be able to explore that. And I couldn't do that while I was stuck or felt like I was stuck inside of the accounting firm. So I said to my husband, I want out. Let's talk about what this looks like. And he wasn't really ready yet. But we kind of started to talk about it. We thought, let's just get it sale ready anyway. We told our team that that's how I was feeling because they needed to know that I was really struggling. And then, partway through 2024, I just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I said to my husband, if you want to stay in the business, that's fine. but I want you to pay me out, or get someone else to buy in and pay me out of this business. And, I just want to move on. And he said to me, okay. He said, okay, let's just sell it. So yeah, we went on a journey to figure out what selling it looked like, who we wanted to sell it to, what our sort of non-negotiables were, because I didn't want to give up everything that we had built. I still felt like there was a legacy to be had. We wanted to make sure that our team were looked after, and we actually offered it to our team to buy from us first. So they were our first option. We gave them the chance to work together to see what they could do. And that was really because we thought that they had put so much into the business that to build it, that, why not then offer it back to them? But in the end, for a couple of different reasons, really, that didn't pan out. And so they gave us their blessing and said that whoever we decide, they will work with them and continue to do all of the things that we were doing. And so, the new owner took over all of the team and all of our clients, and still going under the same name, which is awesome. And
wow,
we're no longer a major part.
That is really awesome that it still continues on under the same name, doing the business that you had built and now giving it fresh energy and being able to take it in a different direction. I love that. Tell me a bit about what was that process, and what did that process look like for you in terms of getting it ready for sale? And one two-part question. One, getting the business ready for sale, and two, getting yourself ready to exit that part of your life that had been such a big part of your life.
I think we were quite lucky in a way that we had so many processes and systems in place already. We'd hired people to do that because that had been a really big challenge in previous years. So we knew that was really important. And then, we just really spoke to the team and made it so that it wasn't so reliant on us. So all of the things that we were doing, we just started to hand over roles, our tasks and responsibilities to other people inside the organization. There were still some things that we were doing, but we figured that they were not that big a deal that another person who comes in and takes over couldn't do. So, we figured if you're going to buy a business, you're probably going to need to be the person who goes out and does the selling, or, the sort of, I guess, the marketing, get the business, talk to people and stuff. So we thought, okay, well, that's kind of a given anyway for a business owner. So if we're still doing that, that's okay. But as long as the operations were working without us, then we were quite happy. And so we were able to, in that last year, go away on a couple of big trips, like 4 or 5 weeks at a time, and we didn't have to do anything. And there was a point in our time where we were like, maybe we should keep this business because now it doesn't actually really need us as much. Maybe we'll get the breather that we've always wanted in this 14 years. But no, I was like, no, we've made the decision. We need to exit. So it was a process. I think it took us a lot shorter than what I would say a lot of business owners might take to exit or to get to that saleable space. And quite funnily, now that we've learnt that and we've benefited from feeling what that looks like, now that's part of the mahi that we do with other people, is helping them to get to that saleable space. Even if it's just for some, to remove some of that reliance on the owner, which I think is super important because we know businesses are so reliant on the owners. So there was a bit of a process. We sort of looked at all the areas we needed to work through, and then we just started to tick off all of the things that needed to be done. Clean up the books, clean up bits and pieces, just pull everything together, make it nice and clean for the new person that comes in. And then I don't know how you prepare for exit, to be fair. I don't think we were really ready for the exit. I think I was so ready, I felt, to leave that I just thought, yeah, it'll be all good. And then when I handed it over, and suddenly, because we were contracted, I guess, to stay in for the first 3 months. So lucky for us, it was only 3 months. Some are a lot longer.
Yeah.
But, you know, the first day, it was strange because I'm not the boss anymore. I don't make the decisions now. If anyone comes to me with a question, I actually cannot answer some of these questions anymore because it's not my direction anymore or my decisions. So that was challenging, definitely challenging. And especially since while the new owner is very aligned, and he's also Pacifica, which is what we wanted, we still think differently and do things slightly differently. So there were some things that I wasn't necessarily 100% on board with, but I was like, well, it's not my company anymore, so I can't really say anything. Well, you know, I can say something, but he doesn't have to listen to me. And then we went to, I remember one meeting that we went into was about 2 months in, and he said to us, oh, I don't think that we need you anymore. And I was like, but I was thinking, I've still got 1 more month in our contract. And then I was like, well, what am I going to do? And literally from that meeting onwards, every meeting that we had scheduled for the next month was gone out of my calendar. And I was like, I'm now free, but I didn't feel free. I felt very abandoned, actually. And I was like, oh, I'm not needed anymore. It was so bizarre. It was like, this is what I wanted, but this isn't really what I wanted. It was, so it took a little while to get used to having a clear calendar, but maybe in the first week or so, I started to realize I needed that space. Like that was actually a blessing for me because I needed to let go. It wasn't mine anymore. And I needed to really figure out who I was now that I wasn't the owner of the accounting firm and what it is that I wanted to do. But also my body needed the break. Like I really just needed the time. And it wasn't until I was part of like a CEO circle and I was, you know, talking about, you know, what am I going to do after I sell? And they just gave me permission to do nothing, like to just celebrate everything that we had done, to take a rest, like see how long I could just do no work for, because obviously we'd just been paid out, so I didn't necessarily need to work for a while anyway. And so I thought, wow, I never had actually thought about doing nothing. So I did nothing. And when you're a busy wahine who's raising 5 children and running a business and, you know, all the other things that we do, to just be still and do nothing is a very odd feeling. Very odd. But I embraced it and I loved it.
I did the opposite. So when I sold my business, I was like, I took a 12-month transition period on reduced hours. So I reduced my hours back to half, but I was on a 12-month transition, which felt luxurious at the time, you know, 20 hours a week. I could swan in and swan out and still feel as though like I was contributing. But it was 6 months too long, to be honest, you know. I wish I had taken that early. And then I decided to fill it and take a role with one of my ex-clients, part-time. But still, the part-time piece felt luxurious, you know. I couldn't not do anything. That felt so strange. But here I am now, and I'm 20 months post-sale. I've spent the last 20 months filling my time to get to a point now where my body and my mind is no, you have to take a break. You cannot keep going. And so I'm at that point now where I am literally, I've released everything. Like I've just released it all and doing nothing. And I'm still filling my time with hobbies or exercise or other things, but they are things that nourish the nervous system as opposed to depleting it. So it is a strange place to be, doing nothing after many, many years of family and business, and that's all life has ever been. So I really understand. I really get it. So tell me about what are you doing with your free time?
Well, to be honest, I've spent a lot of time traveling over the last sort of 10 or so months. A lot of time traveling, which has been great because we love to travel. We've just started a new, it's not really a business, it's part of our business. It's called The Table. And so what we've realized is that there's lots of little networking groups around and little sort of silos of people, but there's nothing really to connect everybody together. And while I'm very passionate about Māori and Pasifika people, I've realised that the challenges that we face are very similar to Indigenous people all around the world. And I think there's so much that we can learn from each other. And I've met lots of different businesses and seen what they're doing and, using an Indigenous context. And I'm like, wow, if only other people could hear and see what it is that you're doing and see what they could be implementing into their own businesses. So that's really what The Table is about. It's just a business community for Indigenous and like-minded people to come together, a place to belong, to share, to buy and sell off each other, and really just to learn and grow, because I just felt like that's something that I wanted to do. And so it's a free platform. So I don't get paid anything for it. You don't pay anything to be part of it. It really was just my heart saying, this is something that I have always wanted to do. And so now that I have the space, and I guess I don't have the financial pressures, I can just do some of the things that I really love, that I just think are things that are needed. So that's one of the things that we've started. We started it just before Christmas. We're about to do some networking inside the group. It's a really fulfilling project, I guess you could say, that we're doing, but just bringing all sorts of people together. That's what I'm up to at the moment.
We get to work on our passion projects when we release all of the expectation that comes with business. So I love that for you. Let's talk about the identity. Yeah. Let's talk about the identity wrapped up in the business, and who is Wyndi if she is not the owner of the accounting business?
I'm in a really weird place because I feel like my identity is also wrapped up in my husband. We were talking about this earlier today, actually, because we do business together. And because my business was while it is not Wyndi and Ali, it is our initials, and everybody knows us as we. It's like if I go somewhere and he's not with me, it's like, where's Ali? If he goes somewhere and I'm not there, it's like, where's Wyndi? It's like they all just, it's like we're not even two different people. We are, it's almost like we're one person. And so we're one person with also this company that just is innately who we are. And so we didn't sell We Mana, which is kind of, I guess, our umbrella company of that owned our We Accounting. So we're still, I guess, attached to this We brand, which is, it's kind of interesting. It's So while I don't own We Accounting, I'm still attached to my identity in this We brand, and still attached to my identity as Ali's wife and business partner. Do I want them to be separate? At the moment, it works from a marketing perspective, if I'm honest. And we've been doing a lot on social media together lately, just to really help people who are in business with their husbands or their wives or their partners, to help them through that, because it is a challenge. But yeah, I don't think that I can lose the we identity unless they completely shut the whole business down. So I don't really know if I have the answer exactly yet, because I don't feel like anyone has detached me from my company yet. And even We Accounting, I think, still is a little bit of an umbilical cord there, if you like. Still not really 100% detached, even though I'm not the owner anymore. I still do collaborations with them. You know, I still help them out with other projects and bits and pieces. So yeah, I don't know that I can answer that. I'm not there yet. It's a strange place to be in.
And it was definitely a strange place for me. And I realized that when I first had the thought of, I am done, I am tired, and I need to sell the business, I was like, well, then who am I if I am not Oaha? Because that same thing, you'd walk into a room and it was like, you introduce yourself and they go, oh, you are Oaha. Or people that know you, then they're like, oh, Oaha. And the word, the company name and my name were just synonymous with one another. So I realized that before I sold, and then even after I sold, it was like, well, what's my purpose now? Or who am I if I am not Oaha? You know. So, but I think it's an onion of many layers, and I can't say that I have uncovered them all, because when I think I'm good, then another layer, you know, presents itself, and you're like, okay, I hadn't thought about that. Let's work through that. So yeah, it's an interesting one to go through and to unpack and undo and uncouple. And I think it's just a journey that will take time, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, with us, because I'm still doing some of similar type of work. So because I'm not an accountant, so I've always been a business advisor, and I'm still doing that, just except now I'm not doing, you know, just business planning but you know, budgets and things like that. Now I'm helping people through the high levels, you know, going through making their business saleable. So it's a different service, if you like, but I'm still supporting small business owners. So I think that from that perspective, I'm always going to bring in what I've done with We Accounting, and you know, how we started it from scratch, and then how we've grown it, and then you know, also you know, this business, we've got another business that's in Samoa. So a lot of my kudos, if you like, comes from everything that I have done with We Accounting and with We Mana. And so it's hard to really disassociate myself without then taking away some of my learned experience and the things that I can share. So a lot of the things that we talk about are just reflects back on the, you know, 14 years of We Accounting, which then I think also, makes it harder to really disassociate or disconnect, or that identity piece. Maybe once I retire, I go overseas and don't need to be on social media all the time, then maybe I'll probably be like, oh, wow, now I really am just who I am. But I think at the moment, people still associate me with We Accounting, and that's still very much a part of my identity. It's just not really part of my everyday anymore, which is really then just more about them not needing me.
But I love what you just said around that's still part of my identity because it's part of who I was. That is still part of my journey. It's a piece of my journey that's ended, but actually it's still part of what makes me me because I've been through that journey. I hadn't thought about it that way before. Love that.
Yeah, and also there's so much that you learn during those years and all the challenges that you've faced that have shaped who you are. And so, I'm grateful for all of that. It's made me who I am today. And so therefore, it is always going to sort of be there.
That moment where you were like, I'm done. I want out. What do you think was the catalyst of getting you to that point of not being inspired to get out of bed and go and, crush the day and make an impact? What do you think the catalyst for getting to that moment was for you?
A couple of different things. While I'm very good at marketing, I'm not the best, but I'm good at it. That became my job. And, so just even the tasks that I would do every day were not super inspiring, all the things that I really wanted to be doing. And that takes a toll. So, I was doing that for years and years of doing things that you don't really like to do. You kind of go, okay, I'm over this. And there were so many times that I tried to get out of it. I tried to hire other people and it just didn't really work. So I'd be thrown back into it again. And then, the team just rely on you and they know that you're really good at it and that you can do it and there's no one else that can do it. So you just kind of keep pushing through. I think too much of that. I did that for too long. A few different tasks that I would do that I just didn't like anymore. The other thing is that I guess I'm the visionary of the company. When I first started out in the accounting firm, I really looked at what wasn't working in the accounting industry, where was the gaps, particularly for Māori and Pasifika businesses. And very quickly we realized that there wasn't anybody that was really focused specifically on Māori and Pasifika businesses that was from a Māori and Pasifika context, in Tamaki Makaurau anyway. And so that's really where we sort of niched down, really focused on that. And I was super inspired by that. And I was thinking, where else is this accounting industry going? What else could we be doing? How can we stay ahead of the curve? And we really did for many years. We were, I would say, one of the leading accounting firms across the country in terms of innovation and thinking forward around where accounting was going and how we could be of service to our customer base. And with that, we won multiple awards, and we're still the only organisation who has won 3 or more accounting awards in 1 year for the Xero Awards, which we're pretty proud of, being this Māori and Pasifika owned business. So, I think that was really cool. But then with AI and I think just 14 years of not really having proper breaks, you're going on holiday and you're like, I remember vividly standing in the line at Disneyland and I'm on my phone answering emails, putting out fires and stuff. And I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be here with my kids, having this really good time on my holiday. And I'm not even focused on where I am right now. I'm too busy, buried in my phone, trying to do work. And, just too many of those. Trying to get away and have a holiday and really not having a proper holiday, and then coming back from your holiday and really still not feeling rested and, because you've still really worked the whole time. I think that, accumulation that over 14 years just really got to the point where my body needs a break, and I wasn't really seeing how I could get a break. And I wasn't really so focused anymore on what was happening in the accounting industry. In fact, I didn't really care anymore what was happening in the accounting industry to be able to continue to stay innovative. And that to me, that didn't feel like I was being authentic. Like I really love to sort of, look at the future and what does it look like, and really be a leader that champions change and innovation, and, really also set my team up well for the future. I think that's something that we did. We knew where the accounting industry was going, so we would really make sure that they were doing innovative things, so that if they ever left us and went on to somewhere else, then they were ahead of the game, that they could continue to, do well in the accounting industry. It's changed so much over the last 15 years. So an accumulation of all of those things made me sort of go, okay, the brain needs a break, the body needs a break. I'm constantly on edge. I really need to now also look after myself, because I've had cancer. I've had it 3 times, and I know that if you don't take care of yourself, then your body ends up in disease, and I did not want that again. So I was like, okay, something's got to change.
I didn't realize that, cancer was part of your journey 3 times. And in that 14 years of owning the business, or was that pre-owning the business?
Within the 14 years. So I'm now, I think, a bit over 5 years cancer free.
Nice.
And then I started, the first one I had was almost 9 years ago. So it was about a 4-year period in the middle there where I had 3 different bouts of breast cancer, which was a blessing in disguise, actually. I learned a lot about myself. I became more unapologetic about who I was. I realized that one day I'm going to be buried 6 feet down. And so I thought, well, let's just make the most of the time that I've got, whether I live till I'm over 100 or not. I just wanted to make an impact, and I wanted to live fully. It's my whole thing, live fully, die empty, and just really, when it comes to die happy, knowing that I've done everything that I wanted to do with all the people that I wanted to do it with, and I've left the impact that I wanted to leave. And so every day is intentional, really. Yeah.
And was that part of that decision as well, the live fully, die empty, knowing that if you stayed with the we accounting, that you weren't really fully living into that?
Yeah, well, it means that I'm out of authenticity. Here I am telling everyone to live fully, and I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah.
And I also thought that it wasn't fair on my team. While I know that I could have persevered and still do a good job, I really did feel, like you mentioned before, that there needed to be some new energy, some new ideas, and someone who could give 100%, like really live fully in the business. And I wasn't doing that, and that I didn't think that that was fair on them, and I didn't think that it was fair on our customers for me to not be able to give 100%. And it wasn't fair on me to push myself to try and give 100% and really be outside of myself. So I was like, okay, I need a break, but then I need to find what else is the next thing that is going to give me purpose. And while my purpose hasn't changed, I'm still very much about, enhancing the mana of Māori and Pasifika people. It's just how I do that now changes. And I'm really now looking at, how do I be in business without having so much stress on me and so much pressure, and how can I work on my nervous system so that it's not constantly on. And so I'm working that out at the moment, is first of all getting my nervous system back into place, but also just what does business look like going forward, and how can I still create the impact that I want to create without burning myself out again like I did with We Accounting.
What Where are you at with that at the moment? Like, what is that looking like? Listening to you, it sounds like you're still working through what that looks like very much. But, if you had to put that visionary hat on and look at that long term, like, what is that impact that I really want to create? What does that look like for Wyndi?
Yeah. I know that the impact I want to create is more global. That was one of the big pushes out of We Accounting, was because it's only New Zealand based. It's too difficult to do accounting outside of New Zealand. You have to learn all of the rules and regulations and all that sort of stuff. So I knew that it was going to be more global, and I love to travel. So anything that I can do that involves me going and meeting other business owners around the world, then absolutely, I will do it. So yeah, and the table, while is not, I don't imagine ever monetizing it other than maybe selling some programs to people inside of it. That's always going to be a heart project, and that just fills my cup because I know that I'm helping so many people, which I love. And then you've got to think about, how can I sustain my life financially? And I could just do nothing for a while, but then I'd have no money left over from the sale, which isn't so good. So something that I've been thinking about is, how can I deliver high value for, I guess, more money, but less hours? So instead of doing lots of little things and getting little bits of money, how can I be of real value to people? And then how can I make a decent amount of money from that so that I can continue to live the lifestyle that I want to live? And so that's part of the succession planning, is having the tools to be able to help people through that and to show them what their business valuation is now to what it is when we're finished working, and then hopefully seeing the value in that as being worth the money that I get paid to help them to get to there. And then you don't need as many clients.
No. High ticket, less clients.
High ticket, less clients. And, yes, some of it will be in person because you'll need to, but some of that can also be online. So the idea is that what I'd really want to do, and once my son finishes school, which is in about 4 years, is to go overseas and work with, micro businesses in lower socioeconomic areas, Indigenous communities, and help them with their little micro businesses to be able to sustain their communities. It's the things that I really want to be doing. So anything that I can do to create enough sustainability of income so that I can go and do those sorts of things. And I don't need to be earning a lot, but you need to be earning enough to be able to continue to do the mahi that you want to do and make the impact that you want to make.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, let's talk about your kids for just a moment. So youngest still at home, 4 years of school left. What are the other 4 doing?
Yeah, so one moved to Australia, not last year, the year before last year. He was playing league. Now he's playing rugby. So he's just turned 21. Broke my heart when he told me that he was going to move to Australia because he was living with us. He is my boy that I thought would be with me forever, but that wasn't the case. So I went home after taking him to the airport and wailed the whole way home and for the whole day. And my husband just thought, okay, I'm just going to leave you be. I don't know how to deal with you right now. And I was like, yeah, just let me do what I got to do. And then the next day I was like, okay, get up, keep going. I've done what I needed to do. Got that out of my system. But yeah, I miss him heaps. So yeah, he's our 21-year-old. And then I've got another son who was just in New York with us with his girlfriend. We were there for Christmas and New Year's doing the white Christmas and the ball drop at New Year's, which was awesome. And yeah, he's still around, and he'll probably move out and very shortly and do his thing. But yeah, he's a personal trainer and works at the gym. And then our other 2 sons both have their own families now. So one has got 4 children. First boy was born just before Christmas. So we've got our first grandson And then our other son, he's got one daughter. So I have 4 granddaughters and 1 grandson.
Oh, how precious.
It's very cool.
And they all live in proximity at the moment?
They all, well, apart from the one overseas, but all my mokos live in Auckland, South Auckland. So they're a little bit away from where I am, but get to have them, and and it's quite different having grandchildren compared to your own children.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But the fact that you can go, okay, I just need a hug, or I just need some time, and you can go and have your fix and then go about your day. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me the baby, I'll hold it for a bit. Okay, got the baby fixed. Take him back now. Off you go. See you later.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me change tact on that question. Let's talk about leadership for a moment, and kind of what's changed for you in your journey around your understanding of what leadership is or isn't?
Ooh. Yeah, good question. I mean, the definition of a leader is someone who has got someone who follows them, right? So I think we've got all different types of leaders that you don't necessarily agree with in the world at the moment. There's a lot of that happening, but they have a fellowship. Like, there are people that still follow them, that believe in them. So, I guess for my leadership has been, I'm about people first. I understand that particularly in business, you've got to have the finances to be able to back it and keep it sustainable. But I don't necessarily think that decisions should be made just because of money. And that's one of the things about us selling our company, was we went to our team and we said, hey, look, we'll even sell it to you cheaper if it means selling it to you. We don't really care about the money. It's more about, this is the right thing to do and we want to offer this to you. And then when they didn't, it was like, okay, well, now we need to find somebody who will look after our people, look after our team, look after our clients in the way that we would want to, and even better than we would. So, I think it's always been about people. I went on I was part of the Leadership New Zealand program in 2015, and the theme was fearless leadership. And I quite like that, although I also think maybe it's not always a good thing. Like sometimes, I've sort of taken into this thing to just, do it anyway, like feel the fear and do it anyway. Sometimes, though, I think that can set us up for a bit of failure, because you kind of just feel the fear, do it anyway, and then, oops, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Because, you're just like, oh, yep, just jump in there and do it. And then I sort of saw it as yep, I'll just do this. Oh, yep, I'll just jump in and do that. Yep, I'll just jump in and do that. And it's like, well, sometimes actually you need to sort of stop for a moment and realize that there are some things that you shouldn't be doing. It's not necessarily just about that being fearless. I think, leadership's just an ongoing journey, right? You're always learning about yourself. And I spend a lot of time on personal development. I've had many coaches over the years, and I'm about to do an NLP course to just learn more parts of who we are as people and, human behavior. And I just think that I need to be constantly growing as a person and as a leader so that I can continue to grow and lead. It's just an ongoing journey, I think. Yeah.
What's changed over the years in your leadership style?
Well, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I'm going to share because I think it's important that I do. We're all growing, right? If you don't look back and aren't ashamed about some things, then you haven't really grown. But, back in the day, I used to think everybody had the same opportunities. I used to think, well, everyone's got the same opportunities. Why aren't you jumping at those opportunities? And it wasn't until I started to live some of my own experiences and learn a few different things and talk to different people that I was like, that's actually not true. So there's lots of different things that I've learned. I used to, when we first started out in business, I wasn't really so much focused on Māori and Pasifika businesses. I just thought anybody that could afford us would just take. And part of that was that I thought, maybe our Māori and Pasifika businesses don't have enough money to afford us. This is how I used to think like 15 odd years ago. Now I've learned that that's not true, and we weren't even really focused on it until we worked with one of the big four accounting firms, and there were 3 Pākehā men that were in the room with us, and they started to question our culture and whether that was a differentiator. They started to tell us we needed to stop spending so much time and money with our community and even with our children. And all of these things, I thought, oh, wow, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right. And this is what other people are being told that are Māori and Pasifika too. So, I've learned lots from people like that too. It's like, oh, wow, I used to think like this. This is totally not actually right. I can't be doing this. And actually I need to change this. I need to change this for other people that we're leading and working with. So yeah, I think our experiences shape us. And I do believe that challenges are on the way, not in the way. So, yeah, I think there've been a lot of challenges that I've faced in my life and a lot of things that I've been through that have taught me lessons that I needed to learn to shape the way that I lead and the way that I think. And I've definitely evolved as a person. And I share what I used to be like so that you can see that people can change, and that, I only knew what I knew. And I basically was raised as a Pākehā because my dad was Pākehā. We left my family in Taranaki, moved to Tamaki to, look for the land of milk and honey, as you do. And so I really only saw my Māori whānau in the school holidays, and they would cram everything they could into us and, go to Māori church, and we'd sing waiata and do karakia, for the 2 weeks that I was there. And then I'd just be straight back into my normal life. So yeah, it's definitely evolved and changed. I've learned more about who I am as Māori, and it wasn't until I did that leadership course in 2015 that I realized how much of my identity I was missing. That's when I really started to go, okay, I need to figure out who I am as a wahine Māori, because I didn't know any different. Really,
and what's that journey look like for you, Wyndi?
Sorry, what journey was that?
So the journey, you're reclaiming your wahine Māori or your taha Māori side. It's always been present, but, maybe not been the dominant culture as you were growing up. So what's that journey look like for you in reclaiming that part of you?
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting. I'll share a little bit. When I was younger and we used to go down to the marae, we were called the snobby Aucklanders. And I kind of took offense to that, but I didn't really understand what that meant until I started to learn a bit more. But in 2015, I spent a lot more time with my koko, which is my mum's dad, my father on my Māori side, and started to learn stories and just sit with him and just listen to his kōrero, which was awesome. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2017, which was the same year that I got my first bout of breast cancer. Actually, I lost my dad the same year too. So all of this loss of these powerful men in my life started to really want to reconnect a bit more. And when did I get my kowai? I got my kowai almost 3 years ago now. And so my moko kowai, about 3 years before I got my moko kowai, I started having dreams about my nana on my Māori side, and she passed away when I was starting intermediate. And she was coming and she was telling me that I needed to get my moko kawai, and I kept telling her, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm quite a vain person. I like to present myself in a particular way. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to put a tattoo on my face. How is that going to be perceived? And yeah, so just, I think, learning more, connecting more, talking to people about it, and listening to her for 3 years. And one of the things she said to me was, this isn't for you, this is for everybody else, that this is for other wahine Māori, other Māori. It's for other people who feel like they don't belong or aren't connected to who they are. It's an opportunity to really show that I'm proud of who I am and to help people to reconnect to who they are. And once she told me that, I was like, okay, I'll think about it, I'll look into it. And so I started to do that, and I started to learn a lot more. Just from talking to people, embedding myself into communities. So I spent a lot of time in our whānau community with our school, spending a lot of time with the kapahaka teacher and the reo teachers, and doing reo classes myself, like just any opportunity that I can. I'm not fluent in Te Reo Māori yet, but I've been working on it. It's a journey. And I always just think there's something that I can be learning. So any opportunity I get to connect with people to learn, I have, including obviously my own whānau, my own whakapapa. So it's been an interesting journey, but I'm loving it. And because my husband is Samoan, I got my malu at the sort of middle to end of last year, which is the Samoan tattoo, cultural tattoo that's on your legs. And so even learning more about that helped me to also learn more about, myself as a wahine Māori, and the differences, but also the similarities. And, because I was very much like, this isn't mine to wear because I'm not Samoan, which is, I guess, similar to what people would say about being non-Māori and having a moko kawai. But just learning about what different people's opinions are and what the Wha Samoa way is, very different and very similar to Te Ao Māori. Also, those connections have helped me to learn. And it's important to me, not just for me, but also for my sons, because my sons are Māori and Samoan. And so I think it's important that I understand their whakapapa and, Wha Samoa and Te Ao Māori, so that I can then make sure that they understand, and then they can pass it on to their children, and so on and so forth. Because, my family were very colonized, and I didn't grow up learning Te Reo Māori. My family weren't fluent, and it really wasn't until my koko was older that he started to really embrace his reo. And he became a teacher at a kura kaupapa Māori school. And so even at his funeral, just seeing all the people who came, who were impacted by him, that he had taught, I was a little jealous in some ways, I won't lie, because, I wasn't afforded the opportunity to live with him. I was, raised in Tamaki, and he was, down in Whanganui and Waverley. So I was like, man, my koko taught all these people our language, but I didn't get the opportunity to learn. But it was, motivation for me to learn myself.
I appreciate the honesty in that kōrero, because you're not alone when it comes to that disconnection from tūranga waiwai and, and whānau, and not necessarily disconnected, but just geographically distant makes everything hard. So thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate that.
I really liked what you just said, actually. Geographically distant. I'm going to use that terminology going forward. I like that, because that really is the truth.
Yeah, because listening to you, it's like you know who you are and you know where you're from and you know your whakapapa, but just the geographical distance meant that it wasn't present every day. And that life priorities to keep everyone alive and in school and clothed, just took precedent over that connection back to Rangawaewae.
Yeah, it's such a shame, because that is the truth. You know, I could have gone down to Wanganui and immersed myself, but my children are here, their kura is here, you know, my mahi is here. Like, it's very difficult to do that and keep the wheels going, and you know, but yeah, every little thing that I can do to keep working and keep learning and keep growing is what I'm doing at the moment anyway, what I have been doing.
Yeah. Ka pai. In your journey, what kind of rituals, routines, or practices have kept you grounded? Because running a business, you know, 3 bouts of cancer, 5 boys to raise, you know, that's a lot going on. How have you looked after yourself in terms of rituals, routine, practices to keep you grounded in who you are?
Oh, I think there's lots of different things that I've done and then stopped doing and then started again, in terms of daily practices of rituals, breathing, meditation, and the things like that. But what I come back to is my purpose, my vision, and my values. So everything is about, where am I heading? Like, what is my purpose in life? That's the question that I asked myself when I got cancer the first time. Was I realized I needed to have a reason to live, a reason to be here, a reason to continue to contribute. Because I thought, if I'm not doing that, then I'm probably going to die from cancer. So yeah, I went on this discovery, and that was when I realized it was about enhancing the mana of Māori and Pasifika people. And that came from, you know, my upbringing and, you know, how you're treated as a Māori and Pasifika, the statistics that we had when I was growing up, and we still have for Māori and Pasifika, you know, what society says that my boys should be like as Māori and Samoan men, and just really wanting to break these stereotypes. My values have pretty much stayed the same. I'm very much about whānau, and self-development, but also your well-being, whatever that looks like. And I think as long as you are, you know, taking care of your wairua, you are centered and grounded in all that you do, and you're doing things that you love with the people that you love the most, the things that give you energy and uplift you, then I don't think that you can burn out so much if you're doing the things that you love to do, because it'll always energize you. It's the things that you don't really like to do that you're constantly doing that can really drain you. And then my vision, really, I just want to impact as many people as possible. And we had a vision at we mana to positively impact the lives of 10 million people across all of the different things that we're doing. So that's kind of, I guess, one of the things that I want to do, is continue to impact. And I know that if I do mahi with one person, then that is going to potentially impact others, because they're going to have team members and they're going to have family members, etc. So really just making sure that the little drop in the water that we create continues this ripple effect right around our whole community, not just with that one person. So everything that I do gets pressure tested against that. Is this working towards my purpose? Is this aligned with my values? Is this going to help me with my vision? And if the answer is no, then I'd have to have a pretty good reason to say yes to it. Otherwise, it's maybe not right now, or no, thank you. Getting used to saying no to people is something that is big on my thing. My word for this year is sovereign. It's about being really clear on where it is that I want to go, what it is that I want to do, and just, my own mana motuhake, just, I'm going to do what I want to do because I can. And because as long as it aligns, then all is good, because I can. There's something really freeing about that. Because I can.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've read the book, Shonda Rhimes's Year of the Yes. It's a really good read, and her reasons for saying yes to things because she was the no person. And I'm like, actually, I need to do the reverse. I actually need to say no because I'm the yes person.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
that's
I'm the yes person too. In the past, I was the yes person. But I've learnt now that there are some things that I just need to say no to, and you can do that in a very nice, polite, respectful way. And, you know, that you don't need any reason for it. You can just say no. No is a complete sentence.
Yes, no is a complete sentence. I love that. So that probably leads to this next question really nicely, is when you think about legacy now, beyond, you know, the success that you've had with your business, what do you hope people will feel and what will they carry on in terms of your legacy?
My thing has always been this live fully, die empty. I watched, and I'll give a little bit of a backstory really quickly, but I watched my dad pass away and my koko pass away in the same year, like I mentioned before. And then I got breast cancer. So in January, my koko passed away. 3 months later, my dad passed away. 3 months later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And when I watched my dad pass away and my koko pass away, like, yes, my koko was older, but you could just see the way that they died. Like, my koko died at peace. He was happy. And then you saw at the funeral the impact that he'd made, the love that he had shared, and you just knew that he lived the life that he wanted to live. Whereas my dad, he lost his mum when he was a teenager, and in early teens, may not even been a teenager. And, you know, he didn't get to finish high school, didn't get to go to university. And so for his life, he always felt like he had something missing and, you know, it was never really enough. And when he passed away, there was just so much regret and anger. And you could just tell that he felt like he hadn't lived the life that he wanted to live. And, you know, you see that, but I didn't really properly reflect on that until I got cancer. And I was faced with my own mortality, and I thought, whoa, okay, I have a choice. I can live my life like my koko did, and I can die really happy no matter how old I am. Or I can continue to live with regrets and wish that I had done this and hadn't have done this and whatever not, and die like my dad did, you know, and be really angry and upset at the world. And so I decided that I was going to live like my koko and I was going to die like my koko did. And I was going to, you know, live fully and die empty. So just leave everything that I can out into the world, live with purpose. And that's really what I do when I coach businesses, is I help them to be who they are in business. Like, bring your full self, bring your culture, bring your values, bring anything and everything that is you into it. And if there are people who don't like that, then they're just not for you. That's okay. There's plenty of people in the world that are for you. And, you know, I just think if you can do that, then it's easier to get up in the morning. You know, it's easier to have a smile on your face. You're a much better person to be around too, because you're happier, you've got more energy, you know. So so that's, I think, the legacy that I want to live. I just hope that people live fully, be their authentic selves, and then die empty, like just big smile on their face, knowing that they've done everything that they wanted to do with the people that they wanted to do it with, and, you know, just no regrets.
For me, the key part of that is the people you want to do it with. You know, do the things you want to do with the people you want to do it with, and then all is well in the world.
All is well in the world. Yes.
Wyndi, thank you so much for your kōrero today. Like, I really appreciate the depth and level, of that of your internal world that you have openly shared on the podcast for anyone and everyone to take a listen to. It is very inspiring and very heartwarming. So I appreciate our kōrero today. I've just got one more question to wrap us up. So part of the podcast Pay It Forward and connecting wahine with wahine, aside from with me, is that the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest to answer. And I don't give the guest a heads up of what the question is. I spring it on you at the end of our kōrero so that it is your true gut reaction to the question, which you can't get more honest than being put on the spot, really.
True.
So, and this is a beautiful question that I think has been intended for you from the previous guest, because I don't think accidents happen. I think it's all very intentional. So the question for you is, what belief did you have to break for you to grow in your journey?
Well, that's going to make me cry now, isn't it? That I'm not good enough. I didn't finish university, other than a couple of papers that I've done at Te Wānanga o Aotearoa and a couple of other places. I have no formal qualifications. And so, yeah, I had to believe in myself and stop telling myself that I wasn't good enough. And really just look at the impact that I've made, the people that I've helped, or the people that have thanked me for everything that I've done for them and with them, to go, you know what, that's enough. What a great question.
Ngā mihi kia koe. Yeah. Tēnā koe e Wyndi. Mō tō wā, mō tō maia, ngā kōrero e tōhaina koe i tēnei rā, ngā mihi mai oha kia koe. I am so very deeply grateful for your time today, for your openness, like I said, and for sharing your journey and your legacy. Like, every story that you shared today was like an unfolding of your legacy that I felt. I didn't just hear, but, every story made me feel like that legacy was just unfolding with every piece. So I really appreciate your kōrero today. Ngā mihi kia koe.
Kia ora. Thank you so much. Ngā mihi nui kia koe, Sandra.
Thank you so much for listening to Wahine. If today's kōrero resonated with you, inspired you, or made you stop and think, I'd love for you to follow the show and share it with another wahine in business. You'll find all of the links and details from this episode in the show notes. So until next time, keep building your business your way, grounded in who you are and the legacy you're here to create. The podcast music is Te Kawa o Rongo by Ngāneko Eriwata. The episode is edited by LJS Creative Services, and the show notes and blog post are written by Bellbird Writing.